All righty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dom and God Sports Talk, the show where we not only talk about everything Baltimore Ravens, but around the NFL. Welcome in. I'm Gonz. That's Dom. We're excited to start tonight's premiere. Another pregame live stream for Week 3 coming up on Sunday. The Ravens this week are taking on the Indianapolis Colts at 1 p.m. at the Bank. We're excited to break it down. There's a lot of things to consider and a lot of key things that we got to discuss here. Dom, first of all, before we start, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Ready to get into it. A lot of stuff to discuss going into this Sunday's game. But yeah, let's hop right in.
All right. First, unfortunately, we must discuss the injury report. 2 more names were added after that Bengals win last week. Odafe Owe and Odell Beckham Jr. Updates on them. They had not touched the practice field all week and I don't know if they've officially been ruled out, but if not, they're most likely going to be out for this upcoming game, and the injuries just continue to steamroll and stockpile, and it's so unfortunate to see. Another person that was a surprise to me that popped up on the injury report was Darius Washington, and then the Ravens put him on injured reserve. So that was just out of the blue. I didn't even know he was injured. He finished the game last week and didn't seem like there was anything wrong with him. So on Thursday, they put him on injured reserve, and we're like, okay, well, he'll be out for 4 to 5, 4 games at least. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. We'll see him back. Then we get to today, and Harbaugh had his press conference, and he was categorizing the severity of Darius Washington's injury as a potential season ender. And that, my friends, is just, wow. We've gone to a surprise injured reserve addition to now another potential season ender for a guy that can play in the slot. So another DB down. And I know we have Marlowe on the horizon, and that's going to be great. But now that slot guy, who is it going to be? There are different opportunities for some of these guys to step up. The main candidate, most likely, in my opinion, will probably be Arthur Maulet, the free agent signing we made this offseason from Pittsburgh. He had a lot of looks in the nickel position. So I'm anticipating he'll get his first action here in Week 3. But, geez, Dom, these injuries, I don't know what's going on. The injuries just continue to bug the Ravens. And I'm hopeful that Odell and Odafe Owe are nothing serious. We heard from Rappaport this week that Odell's shouldn't impact his progress, but here we are again, missing a game, and Owe the same thing. So I don't know what's happening. We cannot trust Harbaugh. Harbaugh's recent history of injuries, although it has been better. We just don't know. It's so much uncertainty, and he declined to really expand on Odell and Odafe earlier this week. So I don't know what's going on with them, but Jadeveon Clowney got the majority of the snaps last week. Expect the same for him. Ojabo on one side, Clowney on the other, and they'll mix in some of their younger guys probably for some rotations. But these injuries, I don't know. Dom, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, we're spread thin, man. It's not looking good. Another season where we are just injury-ridden. I don't really understand the philosophy behind it. It's just, we can't stay healthy. And I don't – and mind you, injuries for every team right now is super severe. Like teams are losing their key players early to start the season off, and it's very unfortunate. I know Darius Washington's injury was a chest injury. So I think I don't really know what happened. Like you said, I know he was in the game, and then whatever happened, he was just. I hope he's okay. I hope he's going to be okay. Anything in that chest area, we've seen experiences with that before, and I'm hoping that he's going to maintain and be okay throughout the rest of the year. It's definitely good to keep him out for those conditions. But yeah, we just cannot stay healthy, and it's very much so alarming. Like, I understand some of these injuries, like we've spoken on before, they have been freak accidents. Like Stanley and Linderbaum, freak accidents. Like they could not expect somebody to fall on Stanley and then somebody to fall on Linderbaum's ankle at that one particular moment. So I know those are accidents. Marcus Williams with the torn pec, like that, and we don't know when we're getting Marlowe back. Like there's been no updates on when he's going to play and when he's going to be active. So that's another frustration. Just it just yeah, the key finger to point is kind of I would say. I mean, you can't really blame conditioning because we got rid of Saunders, so we can't point the fingers at him anymore. So who do we point the finger at? And it has to be, it's gonna have to be Harbaugh. And I wish he was more direct with like these injuries, like we've seen with Lamar's injury last year. He wasn't very direct on what the heck is going on, which is what led Lamar to go to Twitter to tell us himself what the heck was going on with him and why he was missing so much time until we had to find out that he had that ankle injury. So it was I don't know how we keep having this bad luck, but I mean, if any team that I'm glad that we kind of have these guys not playing, it will probably be the Colts. So I'm hoping that even with the injuries, we can overcome and come out with a win. I mean, Lamar is still under center, so as long as he's there, I have no doubt in my mind that we should be able to pull out a win still here. But man, I just wish that there weren't so many injuries this year because we are losing some great guys who make plays. And it's just very unfortunate, very unfortunate. But it's just next man up mentality right now, and that's kind of what the Ravens are doing as far as just bringing that next man up. So, like you said, Arthur Millette, gear up and get ready because it's go time. You, Rocky Scene, Ronald Darby, get ready because it's go, and we are on go for Sunday at 1.
Yep. And the constant, like you said, and I've said this before too, even before the season started, the constant through all these injury woes has been John Harbaugh, dating all the way back to 2015 when we had that injury-riddled season where we lost everybody on offense and defense. When Flacco was our quarterback, Steve Smith Sr., Justin Forsett, all those guys gone. So you just wonder what's happening here. And I don't mind if they don't tell us anything, as long as they're aware of what's going on. But at times, I really don't think they are fully aware. They, as in mainly Harbaugh, is fully aware of the situation with some of these players. So it's just the way he talks about them in the press conferences. You just don't. It doesn't sound like that he's got a firm grasp of what's happening. If he did and was just, telling fibs to the public, that's fine. I don't care. But as long as you're aware of what's going on, and at times I really don't know if he is fully aware of what's happening, especially with that Lamar situation last year. Maybe it's a strategy, but it's not looking like it is. And we need to fix that uncertainty.
More looking like we're in trouble.
Yeah, because as fans, we don't care. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with what I'm saying. Like, yes, they would want to know. But as long as the team knows what's happening, the fans could be second when it comes to that. But they need to get a grip on some things. So we'll see if these minor injuries are actually minor, and we'll see. Because if they are, then we should have a lot of people returning very soon, except for, what's his name? Dobbins and maybe Darius Washington. There was an update on Marcus Williams a little bit earlier in this week. They did have a discussion, and I read some tweets between some random Twitter users, maybe Ravens fans, and Jeff Zrebiec about Marcus Williams not going on injured reserve. Why? According to Jeff Zrebiec, the Ravens are optimistic that he could return within 4 games, which would be very good to help their cause. He must be going crazy with that rehab, because for him to not go on injured reserve with a torn pec or whatever he's got, a pec injury, maybe it's not a torn pec. they never really specified what it was.
Yeah,
It's
they just
sort of
said it
just
was
a
a
pet injury.
pectoral
Yeah.
injury. Yeah,
So
they didn't
maybe
specify.
it's just a bad strain because, like we talked about in the wrap up on Monday, he's got mobility in the shoulder and it's just a little bit swelled. So that's maybe it's not as bad as we thought, and he could return in 2 games.
I
That
mean,
would be great.
if that's the
So
case, I would love that. I
we'll
would
see.
honestly love that.
As
But
long as his
at the same
health is good.
time, yeah, let's not.
Um,
I just hope he's not rushing himself back. I would rather go a couple of games without him, knowing that he's getting better, rather than him bust. And I appreciate him busting his butt trying to get back. Fully appreciate that. But at the end of the day, his health matters. Like, and that's
he
the
knows
main point that
this
I'm
team
trying to get
is
across.
special. He
Yeah,
knows this team has special
and,
potential.
and, and
This
I agree.
squad,
I
you've
agree.
got that feeling, that chemistry a little bit on the sideline in the locker room. I don't know if you guys watched any of their locker room videos or their, behind the scenes mic'd up, Ravens Wired or whatever. I know I have, and there's they've got a little bit of a bond and chemistry with this group of guys, and I think Marcus Williams might just want to come back quicker to keep these guys together and build something special. Keep building something
Hey,
special.
and I can't
Pretty
get
good.
mad at that. I love that. I love that
Yeah,
for him, and I love that for the team, because that's all I
right.
want, is for them to have that chemistry, especially on the defensive end. But at the same time, I just want to make sure that he's taking care of himself as best way possible, and that he's not rushing himself back too soon, because I would really want I don't mind not having him at the beginning of the season if that means he's going to be there come playoff time, because that's when these moments are going to matter just as much as when we always talk about. Yes, we peak early in the regular season. Yes, that is true. We're low key peaking right now, especially if we win 3 in a row. But at the end of the day, I need him to make sure that he is his number one priority, and that he's like easing himself as much as possible, because I don't want him to get back out there, some freak, knock on wood, something freak happens, and then who knows, right? So at the end of the day, Marcus Williams, if you do come back and can come back, obviously there's nobody else I want that feel more than you. Let's keep it real. But please take your time, worry about your health.
Uh,
We'll see you when you
yeah.
get back.
Honestly, though,
That's my main thing.
I'm not worried about that. I think he knows how his body feels. He's dealt with this sort of thing before last year with the wrist, about, weighing his options. I think if he's ready to come back, then he's ready to come back. I'm not worried about any too early returns. Marcus is a veteran. He knows, he's been in this league for a while. I don't feel like there's any, you know, uncertainty about whether he thinks he can play or not. If he's ready, he'll be out there 100% safety, or, safely. So that'd be great. Can't wait for that to keep us posted. Other injuries we didn't discuss was Justice Hill appeared on there with a foot. Pretty big for that. Pretty big for our Ravens backfield. Now all we have is Gus Edwards. But earlier this week, it was either Wednesday or Thursday, we brought back a familiar face from last season, Kenyon Drake, which I really like the move because he knows the system. Well, not quite. I was just about to say he knows the system. Well, we got a new system now. He knows this team pretty well, and he knows the coaching staff. He'll have to get a little bit familiar with Monken's system maybe, but that's not too concerning because, again, we have Gus Edwards. And we should be okay in that department. They'll most likely elevate Melvin Gordon from the practice squad. So I think they will survive without Justice Hill for at least this week. Hopefully, whatever he's got, that foot injury is not serious and he comes back ASAP, because I really like what Justice Hill brings. That smaller type of guy, nice receiving back, got some catches, has a handful of catches this year. Especially last week, I remember he got a couple, at least 2 or 3, which was very nice to see. So we will monitor that situation, but look to see a little bit of Kenyon Drake and Melvin Gordon get some touches this weekend, in addition to Gus Edwards. So there's your Ravens backfield, in my opinion. Looking at the Colts side of things, they are also missing some key players. Today, their starting center, Ryan Kelly, out with a concussion. They officially ruled him out, along with their superstar rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson, ruled out as well. So that means it's Minshew Mania time in Indianapolis. Gardner Minshew, sort of a familiar place with the Ravens. We've faced him at least a few times, or maybe not a few. I do remember for sure he was on Jacksonville when we played him back in 2020 in a blowout victory for the Ravens. So we do know what he brings. What helps the Ravens is that there won't be that aspect of running or escaping. While Gardner Minshew does have some wheels and he can extend plays, they're not going to be able to run QB powers or QB read options as much as they were with Anthony Richardson. They were running all over Houston with Richardson. He had 2 rushing touchdowns before he went down with that injury. Yeah. So that should help the Ravens a little bit. They should hopefully be able to get after Gardner Minshew. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Other guys on the report, guard Quentin Nelson did not practice 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. It was looking grim, but today he actually was fully practicing. So that bodes well for his availability on Sunday, and that's a huge difference. If you don't know who Quentin Nelson is, all-pro guard, probably one of the best guards in the league, maybe top 2, maybe the top. I really don't know who else could be close to him. Maybe Zach Martin. It might be between them two. But that's huge because that is, a staple of that Colts O-line. We're going to have some Ravens pass rushers will have their work cut out for them if he is indeed back there. Other guys questionable for the game, cornerback Kenny Moore, limited Monday and Friday, therefore given a questionable status for the game. D tackle Grover Stewart, I'm not sure who that is. He may be a starter. Not even a question of availability for Sunday. They completely scratched that off with a full practice today, and he's good to go for Sunday. And the other guy, quarterback Dallas Flowers, again, I'm not sure who that is. That might be a depth player. Limited on Friday, came up on the injury report, questionable for the game. So aside from Richardson and Ryan Kelly, it's a good chance the rest of the important pieces that the Colts have are available to play. So we'll see what happens. That, I'm telling you, the biggest one is obviously going to be Anthony Richardson not being there, but the availability of Quentin Nelson will present a challenge for those middle nose tackles for the Ravens. So we'll see how we are handling that. So that about does it for the injury side of things. Now let's move on to predicting how this game's going to go. First and foremost, we cannot fall for this as a trap game. We just got a nice emotional win over an AFC North opponent, dropping the Bengals to 0-2. We cannot overlook this team. They are young. They've looked okay against Houston. I know it was just Houston, but they were rolling on offense with Anthony Richardson. And you cannot take Gardner Minshew for granted. He's gotten plenty of wins here in this league. He's been in control for a lot of the teams he's played. Jaguars, there was a span of games where he was looking really good, and he could have been their guy at one point. So we cannot let him get cooking. Need to limit the running game. The Colts, obviously without Jonathan Taylor, much of a downgrade at running back right there. But still, you don't want to let them get going on the ground, get after Minshew, and not let this team get hot. The Ravens are clearly the better roster, clearly the better team. So let's just take care of business on Sunday, not let any upset stories develop. Let's take care of business and move to 3-0. All right, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start talking about the offensive side of the ball. Ravens versus the Colts defense. Now, I read something today. The Colts have the number 1 rush defense in the NFL right now with low averaging carries lower than 2.6. So that's pretty good, actually. I didn't realize they were so good at stopping the run. That could force Baltimore to be more one-dimensional, beat them through the air. Now, can we do that? Yes. I think that this passing offense will be able to move the ball through the air. Zay Flowers could have a nice game. Nelson Aguilar could get going. Devin Duvernay could get a lot more looks, especially with Odell not playing. So I expect Lamar to sling it for the most part. We might not be able to rip off that many big runs. They are calling for a chance of rain also. So that is the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about when it comes to an aerial attack. You know, how the rain affects the ball and all that. So we'll keep an eye out on the weather. But I expect the Ravens to be able to sling the ball around. Lamar could get maybe 2 TDs or 3. I'm hoping Zay Flowers, this is his game where he can get in the end zone for a touchdown, his first of his career. That would be great. Get the Gus bus rolling a little bit. It's going to be tough yardage, so you're going to need a guy like Gus Bus to fall forward over that contact, especially if this Colts defense clamps down on the run. So we'll see how this Ravens offense does. Any thoughts on that from you?
Yes, I think the passing game has proven these past couple of games that they definitely are able to move the ball effectively well. And obviously, again, it's been taking some time, but especially that first drive against Cincinnati kind of showed me a little something, especially going down there, scoring on the first drive. That says a lot. So I think, especially if the Colts secondary is a little banged up, if Kenny Moore doesn't play, you know, and some of these guys, like their depth players are in, I think this is a great opportunity for Lamar to take advantage of some dink and dunk plays, maybe some quick 5-yard curls, you know, just nothing too fancy, especially because, like, if the tropical storm Ophelia is going to be here and the rain is going to be kind of bad, we'll have to see how that transpires on Sunday. But as far as Lamar is concerned, I'm not really too concerned about it. I think with his short throw accuracy, I think he's just fine. So if we have to do dink and dunk plays, I'm not really nervous, especially if we're using that to get down the field. Because I think we've proven with that strategy and dominating the clock, that plays a huge advantage to us. Because against the Bengals, we were dominating the clock, especially in that first half. So we can do that. I'm completely fine with that. Getting Gus rolling, you know, that's not going to take long. I mean, it's Gus the Bus, you know what we're talking about here. I think he had like 13 carries, 62 yards in that last game. So getting him going, that's not going to be too much difficult for him. So I'm expecting him to have a good game. I think this is, as far as Zay is concerned, especially barring weather, I think this is a great time to like use him more in that jet sweep game, get him involved with that. Maybe utilize Bateman more for that mid-range game. You know what I mean? Like, just make sure we're not trying to, especially, like, again, this is all barring weather, but let's try not to bomb it too much if, you know, we're not okay with doing so. Let's just try to dink and dunk. Let's control what we can control. And I think if we control the clock, I think we'll be just fine. So the Colts defense, obviously, that's kind of what keeps them alive in a lot of situations. I know Anthony Richardson, he's been making them very dynamic. He needs to protect himself a lot more. I'm hoping he does that, especially after this injury going forward. But as far as Minshew is concerned, I mean, Minshew magic. It's not too much else we can say about it. I mean, we've seen him do some crazy stuff, and we should not take him lightly. I completely agree. This is not some scrub quarterback. He's played in intense situations. He played in very clutch situations. This guy is really good, especially having weapons around him. And the Colts receivers, I don't really think they're that bad. I mean, you got Michael Pittman. So, I mean, at this point, I would definitely say control the clock, dink and dunk, utilize Zay in the jet sweep game. Maybe he can use that to get into the end zone, because I would love to see him get into the end zone myself as well. And don't forget, you got that big man Andrews also, who can help a lot in like contested catch situations. So I think if we just, you know, stick to a solid game plan on Sunday, we should just be fine. But let's not try to do anything extra here, especially because Lamar's been doing a great job of getting out of there when pressure gets there. So the offensive line played great against the Bengals. Like I said, I was super impressed with how they played in that game. So I'm hoping that they can hold that up in game 3 while Stanley and Linderbaum are still out. And if they play like they did on last Sunday, I don't see how we have anything to worry about as far as offense is concerned, heading against the Colts defense.
Yeah. Now, looking at the depth chart, I did look up who Dallas Flowers is and the D tackle, Grover Stewart. Both are first teamers, so that is significant. These are first string defenders, and if they are out, that would prove hurtful for the Colts. So the Ravens, like you said, should be able to take advantage of a banged up Colts team. We'll see if those guys end up playing. Now, talking about offensive line, they will have their hands full with Kwity Paye, the right end, DeForest Buckner, all-pro D tackle, and Samson Ebukam, and don't forget about Shaquille Leonard as well. So make sure they've got some playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. Julian Blackman at safety. The talent is there. So we just got to make sure we play sound football. Don't make any silly mistakes. Don't give them any chance to get hot. Don't let these pass rushers get steamrolling. Don't let DeForest Buckner start clogging up the holes, because he can definitely do that. He was a first-round pick from the San Francisco 49ers, so you already know they have a knack for picking good defensive linemen. He was traded to the Colts just a few years ago. That was proved to be a great pickup. So they've got the talent is there. Ravens just play sound football, protect Lamar the best. I don't anticipate it's going to be as solid as it was last week, because last week was really nice. And yes, Dom was right. Lamar did not get sacked one time. 100% clean. He may have got hit a few times, but not sacked, which is amazing. I expect the linemen to not have as strong of a game, simply because it's hard to just top that, because that I haven't seen that from a Ravens pass offensive lineman pass blocking for a long time.
They played great.
That was very good.
They played very, very well.
I think there are going to be some plays where Lamar's going to have to get out of there, like he did a couple times in the Bengals. Probably a little bit more frequently, just because of these guys. Kwity Paye got after Stroud. They sacked him 6 times last week. So they definitely have the ability to get to the quarterback. So we'll see how Pat McCarry is on the edge. Samson, Sam Mustipher at center, handling DeForest Buckner. So that will be a tough task for them. And hopefully they do their thing. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, like we said, Quentin Nelson should be good to go. So we're going to need a big game from Justin Madubuike, Travis Jones, Michael Pierce, those guys who play in the middle to try to take away those running lanes. Don't let the Colts running backs get going. Try to rattle Minshew. If we can generate interior pressure, that is huge, because there's not too much ways to go when there's pressure up the middle. Quarterbacks would be forced to flush right, and that's when you could really turn loose on those edge rushers with QB contains. So pressure up the gut is very valuable, as opposed to just pressure from the sides, because quarterbacks can just step up and make a pass, step up and run. Can't do that if you get instant pressure from the middle. So we'll see how Jadeveon Clowney, David Ajabo, and the rest of those Ravens pass rushers will get going. I expect Mike McDonald to send Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen on a handful of blitzes as well, just to, again, get that interior pressure on Minshew, make him make a quick read or force an errant throw that could be intercepted. I think if the Ravens are able to get enough pressure, they can force Minshew into throwing at least one interception. I'm going to go ahead and predict maybe 2 turnovers for the Ravens on Sunday, forced by this defense. Let's see if Mike McDonald can continue his stretch of good play calling to a 3rd straight game, and see how these guys do. And looking at the secondary, they will have their hands full. The Colts wide receivers, definitely something to watch out for. Michael Pittman Jr. being the number 1. That dude has really blossomed into a pretty dang good wide receiver, as we saw in the 2021 matchup on that crazy Monday Night Football game. I'm hoping it's not that close. We don't want to let the Colts do that. But eerily, we're in a similar situation there, because we all thought the Ravens were going to steamroll that game. And what happened? The Colts took a giant lead, and the Ravens had to lead one of the most craziest comebacks in franchise history just to pull off a win in overtime. But
hell of a game.
Again, Jonathan Taylor was there, and it's going to be a little bit different. They had a little bit more corners as well. They had Xavier Rhodes and a couple other guys. So I don't expect it to be like that. I'm hoping it won't. Again, you never know. It's the NFL. But yeah, so their starting running back is going to be, I believe, Zach Moss. Correct me if I'm wrong. Zach Moss, player from the Bills, got signed this offseason by the Indianapolis Colts, and he will be filling in the large role of Jonathan Taylor. So, of course, that's a downgrade from Jonathan Taylor, but he's had his share of good plays. I remember watching some highlights from him on the Bills. He was able to make stuff happen. So they definitely have a guy back there that can get going if the Ravens allow him to. So what do? Don't allow him to. Force them to not run the ball. Let's get Minshew throwing 45 times, because that usually means if he's throwing 45 times, that means they're trailing. And that more times if you throw, more likelihood of a chance you can force a turnover. So let's see if we can get a sack, fumble, or a couple picks. Like I said, I'm predicting 2 turnovers this Sunday on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully Kyle Hamilton can get his first pick too. That'd be nice. I know, because it got wiped away last year in that Saints game against Andy Dalton. So we'll see. Cornerbacks. So our guys are going to be now, it's going to be Rock, Ronald Darby, Arthur Mallette, most likely, and Brandon Stevens. Good luck against these guys. And don't forget about Mo Alley Cox. So Kyle Hamilton's going to have a strong game on that guy, because that guy's gigantic. A former basketball player. What is he, like 6'5", 6'6"? Maybe a little bit smaller. I don't know. But, again, he came on strong last season. So, again, the Colts have weapons. Secondary's going to have their hands full. Yes, he is 6'5", 267. Jeez, that is a massive tight end. So, yeah, Kyle Hamilton's going to have his hands full, definitely. So we'll see how they do. Brandon Stevens, hopefully he has a decent game as well, doesn't get picked on that much. I know Gardner Minshew's most likely going to target him. So I'd rather prefer that the Ravens don't put him on Michael Pittman so he doesn't get bagged on his head or, get flagged for interference. Which leads me to another point. Penalties. We need to limit the penalties. Especially on the offensive side of the ball. Sorry to jump back, but offensive line penalties, holding, we can't have those. And it's going to be really hard going up against all-pro D linemen, like people like DeForest Buckner. Quinny Pay is a young stud on the rise. Going to have to keep your hands off of them. Don't get flagged for holding on big passing plays, because those are drive killers, as we've seen in the past 2 weeks. So don't give them any reason to feel good about themselves. None. And then back to the defensive side of the ball, the penalties, the illegal contacts. We haven't seen too many of those, which is good. But let's keep it that way. And what else was I going to say? The other safety, Geno Stone, needs some more from you as well. This is your opportunity without Marcus Williams. Had a good game last week. Let's see if he can double that and have a good one this week. Lots of younger guys able to get an opportunity. If there's any silver lining from all these Ravens injuries, the younger dudes are able to get a lot of looks here against pretty decent qualities of opponent, or decent personnel at least. So we'll see how these guys do. I'm hoping that Geno Stone can continue that sort of momentum he built up in that Bengals game. That was one of the better games I've seen. That interception was amazing. Let's see if we can get going. And don't forget about the Indianapolis Colts' second-year wideout now, Alec Pierce. That guy can fly. So there's their deep threat. They've got almost everything you need. They've got a move-the-chains type of guy in Mo Alley Cox at tight end, and Michael Pittman, Michael Pittman's sort of a combination of both. He can take you off. He can take the top off of defense. Even though he's not the fastest, he can make crazy catches, get big yards, and he can make those tough move-the-chains, sideline type of catches. So they've got playmakers. Ravens, do your thing. Mike McDonald, hopefully you're studying these dudes. Let's bag them up. Let's lock them up. I'm anticipating the Colts will not score. Well, I'll save that for the prediction. Dom, how do you think this defense is going to do, and what are the challenges they're going to have to face?
I agree with most of what you were saying. I mean, I have a lot of faith in the defense. I mean, I just seen them do, especially what they did with the Bengals last Sunday. I mean, second half was shaky. First half was really good defensively. I mean, I feel as though as long as we keep the matchups appropriate, we should be fine. And by that, I mean, please, for the love of the football gods, if I see Brandon Stevens on Michael Pittman, I'm going to get upset. And I might throw something at the TV. And the worst thing is, I don't own that TV because I'll probably be watching this game from work. So if you guys don't want me to get fired, please do not put Brandon Stevens on Michael Pittman. Leave that to Rock Yassin. He is literally DB2. For now, DB1, let him stay in that spot with Pittman. I know Pittman is bigger than him. I get that. It's low-key a mismatch, but at this point, we need to make sure that a good lockdown corner is on a really good receiver. And Michael Pittman is a really, really good receiver. So please keep that matchup like that. Secondly, as far as the defensive pressure is concerned, Quentin Nelson, probably one of the greatest guards of all time. Cannot argue that. Clowney, I'm expecting him. He's going to have to step it up a little bit. And it's not like he's been playing bad, so this is not a knock on Clowney. I'm just saying as far as Ojabo being out, he's going to have to, come in and deliver that pressure. I'm expecting a game from Ojabo. Please, let's get to the quarterback as much as possible here because Minshew, I feel like in that last game when Minshew stepped in, he only missed 4 passes. He threw for 171 yards. So he was throwing some dots out there. So let's try not to let these routes develop. Let's get back there with some pressure. Matabike, I swear to goodness, stop getting those daggone flags on the line, okay? Because it's you. It's mostly you. Like, I don't see anybody else. It's just Matabike. So Matabike, please stop getting those flags on the line. We do not need that, especially when we're getting stops. We do not need that. Please stop. Let's see. What's third? Stevens, also with flags. Let's chill out, bro. Let's chill out. Just you don't have to do anything fancy. Just do your job. Don't do anything extra. We just need you to get stops. That's all we need. That's asking for a lot, but it's in the job requirement. So please just do that, and we should be okay. I need to see a little bit of intensity with the pressure because last week, I think we got 1 sack last week in that game against the Bengals. I might be wrong, but I need to see a little more pressure. I don't want Minshew getting too comfortable because we've seen it before. Once he gets comfortable and he has somebody open, he's throwing that dot. He's not a bad quarterback. I don't care if he's a backup or not. This is someone who's had a starting role, someone who can still play, and someone who's shown time and time again that he knows what he's doing. So let's try to do better at getting pressure. Even if it's not a sack, I would like us to at least get back there and show him like we're not messing around. So I know whoever's going to be on Quentin Nelson is going to be very difficult, but let's try to take advantage of the fact that, we got a lot of young, quick, speedy guys who can get back there whenever they feel like it. So that's one thing I want to see from the defense. I would love to see Kyle Hamilton get his first pick. That would be nice, especially for this year, stepping in while Marcus Williams is out. Geno, he had a great game last game, hoping to see that again in this next game, which I feel like he won't disappoint. But yeah, my one key takeaway is please let's intensify the pressure. Let's not let Minshew show us some magic because I do not want to see Minshew magic against us. He can do it against everybody else. Just he can do it next week if Richardson is not good to go. But this week particularly, let's let him be normal Minshew, minimal Minshew, okay? And let's just get back there and get some pressure on him because I do not want to see the headlines on Monday, Minshew magic dots up Ravens. Like, I don't want to see that. So bring some pressure. Let's limit the flags, and let's keep the matchups appropriate. That's all I'm asking. We should be fine. The defense will be fine. Roquan will be doing his thing, and we should be good. Especially, I feel like, if Roquan's in coverage and, he sees Mo Cox in there, he might be able to help disrupt that.
Yeah.
I know Molly Cox is bigger than him, like bigger, but as far as Roquan, he's pretty tough. So if he's there in coverage, that might help out some too. So I'm not too worried. I think we should be fine, but us, keep the blood pressure medicine on standby for all the fans out there because you'll need it, knowing the Ravens in the second half. But yeah, that's my main thing. My main 3 things: intensify the pressure, limit the flags, especially on the defensive line, and please keep the matchups appropriate. That's all I'm asking. And we should be okay. I have faith that those 3 things are kept in place. If. That's a big if.
Okay. Great, right. There's your keys to the game on defense. Just to summarize, keys to the game on offense: pass protect, take some shots, and run the ball. Because, yeah, well, that's the thing. More emphasis on either going deep or running the ball, depending on how the weather goes. If it's raining hard, run the ball. And I know they have a stout run defense, but tire them out, wear them down. There might be some times where they stuff you for a loss. Keep going though. And of course, yeah, you said earlier, a long time ago, you said we were peaking. I would disagree because there are a lot of things we got to clean up on offense. People seem to forget that entire end of the first quarter and pretty much entire second quarter of the Bengals game was not very good on offense. After that opening drive in the Bengals, they kind of went to sleep for the most part.
They did.
They let that overthrow for Zay Flowers kind of halt the momentum. So there are lots of things for this team to clean up. But anyway, yeah, so emphasis on running if it's raining. If it's sunny or not raining, I don't care if it's sunny or not. If there's no precipitation, fire it deep. Test these young cornerbacks. Make them respect the short or the deep stuff, so then you can get those medium routes over the middle like they were able to attack on Sunday. Play action RPOs, throwing down the middle to Aguilar on some little post routes, nice little slants, some little bubble screens to Zay. Just keep them honest. Don't key in on one particular thing. Mix up the play calling, be balanced, and confuse the defense. And you should be okay. You should be okay.
Fair
and
enough.
Limit the pressure because there will be pressure. I anticipate there's going to be
absolutely
much more pressure than the Bengals provided. So we'll see how they do.
Yeah, agree.
All right, it's time for the predictions for this week. I am going to go with a Baltimore victory, improving to 3-0 with a 21-10 win. I don't think we're going to steamroll on offense. I think that Colts D-line will keep us in check for the most part, but I think we'll be able to make some deep plays. I think I'm going to go for it all, and I'm going to predict a 30-yard deep passing touchdown to Zay Flowers. I'm really hoping he gets his first one. And then I'm going to say Gus Edwards gets in for another one. And the third one, another passing touchdown to Mark Andrews. I think he'll get his second. So 21, a not too shabby showing on offense. I think they're, not as stagnant as they were in the Houston game, but I don't know if they're going to be as rhythmically flowing in the Bengals game. Because, I just don't expect that to be as great because of this Colts pressure. Defense, I think they can get 3 sacks on Gardner Minshew, and like I said earlier, 2 turnovers. I think the Colts will threaten on a couple drives, but some late, some turnovers deep in our own territory will stop them from scoring a lot of their points, and they will only come away with 10 total. That's my predictions. All right, Dom, what about you?
It's kind of funny because I wasn't too far off from you. I was saying 24-10 Ravens. I just feel as though we're not gonna not have Tucker kicking one up. It's pretty much what's been happening. So I see Tucker at least kicking us one when we're in the red zone. So I have us 24-10. As far as the touchdown scores are concerned, I can't really argue with you. The only one I would probably say is different is I would most likely switch Zay with Lamar. I feel like for some reason Lamar is going to run one in on Sunday. It's just I have a weird sneaking suspicion that he's going to run one in. So I got Lamar, Andrews, and most likely Gus in the end zone, and then I got Tucker kicking as one. Defensively, I don't know if I'm counting 3 sacks. I would say 1.5, maybe 2. It would be great if I'm wrong. I would love 3 or 4 sacks on the day, but I'm guessing maybe 1.5 or 2. We'll see. And I do feel as though that Minshew, if we pressure Minshew enough, he'll probably make some mistakes, especially in that second half in the red zone. So yeah, I feel like we can limit them. They'll probably get their first touchdown in the first half. Would not be surprised. And I feel like defense will probably pick it up in the second half. We'll probably flip the script from last week. And we'll probably be more locked down in that second half. So I'm thinking 24-10 as far as this score. But I'm still going Ravens for the win.
Well, there you have it. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this evening's episode. What is your favorite team going to do? What are your thoughts on this game? If you think of anything different that we didn't cover, were we right about something? Were we wrong about something? Do you agree? Feel free to leave it down below. We're going to go ahead and close this one out. Dom, any last minutes, or not minutes, any last thoughts in these final minutes of the show?
All I'm gonna say is, guys, let's get healthy. First of all, I'm wishing all the players who are down right now for a full recovery. I know the Cowboys just lost Trayvon Diggs to an ACL tear. That's very unfortunate because they're playing lights out right now. So I'm wishing for his full recovery. Wishing for the full recovery of all the players, our players. I'm hoping everybody gets back healthy. And let's minimize Minshew magic, man. Let's go out there and get a win. 3-0. I'm calling it now. We're both calling it, but I'm also calling it. So let's call it 3-0.
Let's do it. That'd be great. Steelers got to match up with the Raiders, and the Bengals got to match up on Monday night with the Rams. We'll cover how those games go when we see you guys on Monday. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and a comment, and please subscribe. We are on the road for 50 subscribers. Please, we would love to have it. We're about at 18 right now, so we're going to need 32 more so we can get to 50 and try out the YouTube Live. So please, 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 if you enjoyed, leave a subscription. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy week 3. It's going to be a fun one. We'll see you guys on Monday. This is Gonz signing out.